They grew up inseparable, two girls, one bond, and 1,000 shared secrets. But behind the smiles and selfies was a storm quietly brewing. And on one ordinary night, jealousy turned deadly, and one best friend became the prime suspect in a murder no one saw coming. She wasn't just my friend. She was the sister I never had. That's what Olivia Hartman told reporters the morning after the police found her best friend, Mia Sullivan, lying face down in a pool of blood in a high-rise apartment in downtown Cincinnati. But what Olivia didn't say, what she couldn't say or maybe refused to, was that something had changed in the months leading up to Mia's death. Something dark. Something ugly. And it started, as many betrayals do, with a secret. Mia and Olivia met when they were 12. Middle school drama, crushes on the same boys, joint birthday parties, late-night phone calls. They had grown up side by side, almost like a single identity split between two girls. Their bond was magnetic. Everyone in their tight-knit suburb of Madeira knew them as a duo. If you invited one to a party, you were expected to invite the other. They both got into Ohio State. Same dorm. Same major. Even when Mia decided to take a semester off during sophomore year to travel Europe, Olivia waited for her. She didn't make new friends. She didn't join new circles. She stayed loyal. That's how Olivia worked. She clung fiercely to what was hers. But something happened when Mia came back from Europe. She had changed. She dressed sharper, laughed less. She spoke about things Olivia had never seen or done. Clubbing in Berlin, wine tastings in Paris, hookups with foreign guys. She had stories, connections, even an internship offer from a boutique fashion house she met in Rome. Mia came back with the kind of glow that turns heads. Suddenly, Olivia was the girl standing next to the girl with the light. Still, Olivia tried. She ignored the slight distance. She smiled through the dismissive glances. She told herself she's just adjusting. We'll be back to normal soon. But they never really were. By the time they turned 24, Mia had built a following on Instagram. Fashion, lifestyle, subtle product placements. Nothing huge, but enough to call herself an influencer. Olivia, meanwhile, had taken a marketing job at a local ad agency. She lived modestly, dressed plainly, saved her money. But she watched every post, every story, every comment Mia got from strangers who called her stunning, magnetic, perfect. Something had shifted. Olivia wouldn't admit it, but people noticed. Friends, co-workers, even Mia's parents. Jealousy. It was in the way Olivia's eyes lingered when Mia walked into a room. It was in the forced laughter at parties. It was the flicker of contempt when someone complimented Mia and not her. But still, Olivia stuck around. She liked to remind people that she'd been there from the start. I knew Mia before the filters, she once joked. Before she became famous. By early 2024, Mia was in a relationship with a man named Daniel Croft, tall, magnetic, and loaded. He worked in commercial real estate, drove a Tesla, and had just bought a condo with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the Cincinnati skyline. He was charmed by Mia's grace and disarmed by her sweetness. But what no one expected was how quickly the relationship moved. Within 6 months they were engaged. Olivia didn't see it coming. She wasn't even consulted. The announcement came via a post. Mia on a balcony in Miami, her hand outstretched to the camera, a gold diamond ring catching the sunset. The caption read, "Forever with my favorite person." Olivia saw it while brushing her teeth. She froze, toothbrush foaming in her mouth, staring at her screen. No call. No text. Not even a heads up. She double-tapped the post. But something inside her snapped that day. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, things got worse. Mia asked Olivia to be her maid of honor. She accepted, of course, smiled, nodded, played the part. But something in her eyes had changed. "I've just been stressed," she told her therapist 2 weeks before the wedding. "Everyone keeps choosing her. She gets the attention. She gets the success. She even gets the guy. And what do I get? A matching dress and a fake smile." The therapist asked her if she'd ever considered stepping back from the friendship. "No," Olivia replied softly. "If I can't have her, no one should." July 13th, 2024. The wedding day. The venue was a vineyard estate in northern Kentucky. Twinkling lights, white peonies, flowing champagne. Olivia stood by Mia's side all day, holding her train, fixing her veil, delivering a toast that ended with, "To Mia, my best friend, my forever." Everyone clapped. No one noticed the tremble in Olivia's hand. Later that night, after the guest had gone home, the newlyweds returned to Daniel's condo. Mia changed into a satin robe and poured wine. Daniel played soft jazz. They danced barefoot in the living room, city lights glowing outside the windows. It was perfect. until Mia received a text from Olivia. "I'm outside. I need to talk to you. Alone." Daniel was confused. But Mia, always the peacemaker, kissed his cheek and stepped out barefoot. She never came back. At 2:27 a.m., building security called 911 after a neighbor reported hearing screams. Officers arrived to find Mia's body crumpled near the elevator, stabbed 4 times. Her engagement ring was missing. In the stairwell they found Olivia. Hands bloodied, dress torn. Whispering, "She took everything, she always took everything." She didn't resist arrest. She didn't ask for a lawyer. She just kept repeating the same 6 words. "I was supposed to be her." What if the person you trusted with every secret, your childhood, your heartbreaks, your dreams, was quietly planning your destruction? What if your best friend smiled through your engagement, stood by you in your wedding photos, and hours later, took your life with the very knife she once gifted you? This isn't just betrayal. This is the slow, venomous burn of jealousy, one that ended with a bride in a blood-soaked gown. To everyone who knew her, Mia Sullivan was the kind of woman you couldn't help but admire. She was poised but approachable, beautiful but modest, successful but never boastful. In a world where people tried hard to stand out, Mia simply existed, and the world leaned in. She had always carried an unspoken charisma. From her days as a high school dance captain to her rise as a regional social media influencer, people were naturally drawn to her. When she posted a photo, it wasn't about angles or lighting, it was about the feeling. She knew how to tell a story with just one glance. But for all the sparkle and polish the world saw, very few people understood the pressure Mia carried. Not pressure from her followers or even the brands she worked with, but from the relationships in her life, especially the one that had always loomed the closest, Olivia Hartman. They were sisters in everything but blood. Childhood sleepovers, matching Halloween costumes, shared crushes, whispered secrets about divorced parents and broken hearts. Mia and Olivia had survived it all side by side. But somewhere along the way, something inside that friendship shifted. What began as support turned slowly into surveillance. Mia noticed it in subtle ways. Like the way Olivia's compliments came with an edge. "You look amazing, did you get work done?" Or how Olivia posted flattering selfies with captions that jabbed, "Some of us don't need filters to feel seen." Still, Mia never confronted her. She chalked it up to stress, to insecurity, to something temporary. Besides, she felt responsible for Olivia in ways she couldn't explain. There was guilt in outgrowing her. And she knew Olivia had struggled to find the same traction in life. So when Daniel proposed and Mia said yes, she hesitated before calling Olivia. It wasn't just nerves, it was something deeper, instinct, but she made the call anyway. Mia met Olivia at a wine bar on Hyde Park Square. It was quiet on a Tuesday evening and the mood was soft. Olivia showed up in black slacks and a navy blouse. Simple, conservative. Mia wore a white wrap dress that seemed to glow under the ambient lighting. They hugged, but the embrace was brief. "I have something to tell you," Mia said, sliding a small velvet box across the table. Olivia's smile froze as she opened it. A diamond ring. Not huge, but elegant. "Perfectly, Mia. You're engaged." Mia nodded. To Daniel. There was a pause. Then Olivia smiled. "I'm happy for you." But the smile didn't reach her eyes. In the weeks that followed, Olivia threw herself into planning Mia's bridal shower and bachelorette weekend like a woman possessed. She coordinated themes, menus, spa appointments. She wrote to-do lists color-coded by hour. At first, Mia was touched. Maybe she'd been too harsh, too suspicious. Olivia just wanted to be involved. But then came the passive comments. "I guess Daniel's the kind of guy who likes trophies." Or, "Your dress is beautiful, even if it's not super flattering." At the bridal boutique, Olivia offered a strange compliment. "It's classic. Very you. I mean, some women want to look sexy on their wedding day. You're going for timeless." Mia laughed it off but later told Daniel, "I don't know. She's being weird." Daniel was direct. "You don't owe her anything, Mia. Not your happiness. Not your spotlight. She's not your shadow anymore." But Mia couldn't let go. Deep down, she still believed Olivia was her person. Maybe misunderstood but loyal. She would soon regret that. The rehearsal dinner was held at a private rooftop restaurant overlooking the Ohio River. Fairy lights danced above white-clothed tables. Daniel's parents gave a touching toast. Mia beamed all evening, cheeks sore from smiling. At one point, Mia noticed Olivia alone at the bar, nursing a third glass of wine. Her eyes were fixed on Mia, not with warmth but with a stare that pierced through the joy. A look that said, "You don't deserve any of this." Later, as the guests were leaving, Olivia approached Mia. "Can I talk to you?" Mia nodded, a little hesitant. They stepped aside. "You've changed," Olivia said flatly. Mia tried to laugh. "Well, yeah. I'm getting married tomorrow." "No," Olivia said. "You've changed. You don't need me anymore." Mia's smile faltered. "Liv, I've always needed you. But needing someone doesn't mean letting them control how you feel every second." Olivia's expression hardened. "I'm not trying to control you. I just don't want to be left behind." "You're not," Mia whispered. "But you can't punish me for moving forward." That was the last meaningful conversation they ever had. Back to the crime scene. When detectives questioned Olivia the next morning, she was sitting in a holding cell, still wearing the dress from the night before. Her mascara was streaked down her cheeks. She rocked slowly on the bench, whispering to herself. They asked her to recount what happened. "I went to her place," she said flatly. "I just wanted to talk." But she started crying, saying I made her feel unsafe, like I was toxic. "And what did you do?" the detective asked. "I told her she made me feel invisible." "And then?" Olivia looked down at her hands. "I don't remember. I think she pushed me. I had the knife." "You brought a knife?" Silence. "Then, it was in my bag. I didn't think I'd use it." Detectives retrieved the weapon, an engraved chef's knife, a gift Olivia had once given Mia during college. Ironically, it had Mia's name etched into the handle. By the time the coroner completed the autopsy, the facts were clear. Mia Sullivan had died from 4 stab wounds, 2 in the chest, 1 to the shoulder, and a fatal thrust to the neck. Defensive wounds were present on her hands. She had fought back. But it wasn't enough. The crime rocked the city. News stations flooded social media with tributes, timelines, theories. How could a best friend do this? What went wrong? What signs were missed? Everyone had questions. Only Olivia had the answer. And she wasn't ready to share it. Not yet. She said it wasn't planned. She said it was a mistake. But her journal told a different story, one inked in obsession, betrayal, and a twisted sense of justice. The room was cold. Olivia sat on the edge of the steel chair, arms wrapped tightly around herself, as if trying to hold together the pieces of a world she had just shattered. Across the table, Detective Maria Langston placed the blood-stained knife in an evidence bag, sliding it between a stack of photos and Olivia's trembling hands. "You don't have to speak," Maria said gently, "but this is your chance to explain why." Olivia didn't speak at first. Her lips were dry and cracked, her eyes bloodshot from crying or lack of sleep. But something in her gaze shifted. Defeat? No, not quite. Resignation. Then, slowly, Olivia opened her mouth. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that," she whispered. "It was just supposed to be a conversation. One last conversation." Maria tilted her head. "You brought a knife to a conversation?" Olivia flinched. "I didn't mean to use it. I only brought it for protection. I thought she'd understand." Detective Langston didn't interrupt. She just waited. "I went into that room to tell her everything. That I loved him. That I had always loved him. That it wasn't fair how she just took him like it meant nothing. Like I wasn't even there all those years." "And what did she say?" Maria asked. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. She laughed. Said I was crazy. That he never wanted me, that he used to joke about how needy I was. She said he pitied me. Silence filled the room, heavy as the truth. "And that's when you stabbed her?" Olivia nodded slowly. "I don't remember grabbing the knife. It just happened." Maria stared at her. "You stabbed her twice. Once in the stomach. Once in the chest. That wasn't an accident." A beat. Olivia looked down, her voice breaking. "She ruined everything. She knew what she was doing. All those years pretending to be my friend. She wanted what I had. What I should have had." Maria stood and left the room without another word. Outside, she found Officer Riley with a small leather-bound journal in his hand. "From Olivia's apartment," he said. "You'll want to see this." The journal was filled with pages of neat handwriting, and what they revealed made the confession seem tame. Each entry was unraveling. Mentions of Lila and Matt's engagement, the wedding planning, the dress fitting, all laced with venom. The final entries were the most disturbing. "If I can't have him, she won't either. One day soon she'll know what it feels like to lose everything. I've waited long enough." Detective Langston closed the journal and exhaled sharply. Olivia hadn't simply snapped. She had planned this, maybe not in the sense of a step-by-step blueprint, but emotionally, psychologically. The seeds of violence had been planted long ago and watered with years of resentment. Later that afternoon, Maria returned to the interrogation room, this time with a manila folder. "Olivia, do you remember writing these?" she asked, sliding photocopies of the journal pages across the table. Olivia's eyes widened. Her hands trembled. "You said it was a moment of passion," Maria continued. "But this shows motive, obsession, premeditation." Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "I didn't want it to end like this. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Just for once." Maria said nothing more. There was nothing left to say. Outside the precinct, Matt sat in his car, staring blankly ahead. The man who had just lost his bride now had to process the fact that her best friend, his wife's lifelong confidant, had orchestrated her murder. A knock on his window startled him. Detective Langston stood there looking somber. "She confessed," she said simply. Matt's face crumbled. "Why?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Maria hesitated, then replied, "Because she loved you." The words felt like poison. That night, the story broke across every local and national news outlet. Jealousy turns deadly. Bride's best friend confesses to wedding night murder. Social media erupted in shock. Those who had seen photos of Olivia and Lila together, always smiling, couldn't reconcile the woman in handcuffs with the cheerful bridesmaid from Instagram. But behind those curated snapshots were years of envy, unspoken wounds, and one twisted conviction. If Olivia couldn't be happy, no one else deserved to be. And so, the confession came, not from guilt, but from the ruin of a love Olivia was never promised. The betrayal was complete. And the question remained, how could someone so close be the one to end it all? Lila's murder was a moment. But the aftermath? It was an avalanche. One act of betrayal had sent shockwaves through every corner of their lives, leaving behind questions no one wanted to answer and truths too painful to face. The funeral was a surreal blur. Black dresses, silent tears, and a coffin that seemed too small for the vibrant, laughing woman who had once filled every room with warmth. Lila Ross had been buried beneath a sky heavy with clouds, as if even the heavens mourned the loss of her light. Matt stood at the edge of the grave, his hands clenched into fists. His wedding ring, barely a week old, felt like a cruel joke now, a twisted souvenir from a life he no longer recognized. Every hug, every condolence offered by a friend or family member, rang hollow in his ears. No one could reach him. No one could fix this. But it wasn't just grief he carried. It was guilt. He had known Olivia for years. Known how close she and Lila were. Known that Olivia had feelings for him once, maybe still. And yet, he had brushed it off, ignored the signs, even let her be part of their wedding day. Looking back now, every smile Olivia gave him felt like a mask hiding something darker. After the burial, Matt returned home alone. The house was filled with wedding gifts and half-finished thank you cards. A bouquet still sat on the kitchen counter, wilted and browning. He poured himself a drink, then another. The silence was suffocating. It wasn't long before the calls started. Reporters, producers, true crime podcasters, all hungry for a story that had everything: beauty, betrayal, murder. He didn't answer, but someone else did. Lila's younger sister, Emily, had flown in from Arizona for the funeral. She had always been the wild one, fierce, unfiltered, and brutally loyal. And she wanted answers. "She planned this, didn't she?" Emily asked one night, her voice sharp. "This wasn't just some heat-of-the-moment thing. She meant to kill my sister." Matt nodded. There was a journal. She wrote about it, fantasized about it. Emily's face twisted in disgust. So what's next? She gets to plead insanity and disappear into some cushy hospital? "The DA's going for second-degree murder," he said quietly. "They want to prove it was premeditated. But it's complicated. Olivia's lawyers are already hinting at mental health issues. She had a breakdown in custody. Emily didn't care. She stabbed her best friend. She killed someone on her wedding night. I don't care how sad or broken she was. She doesn't get to play the victim." As weeks passed, more secrets came to light. Olivia's ex-boyfriend reached out to detectives, revealing years of obsessive behavior, manipulation, and possessiveness. Co-workers described her as charming but prone to emotional outbursts. A neighbor remembered a night months ago when Olivia screamed Lila's name in her sleep. It all added up to a chilling picture. Olivia hadn't just snapped. She had been unraveling for a long time. One afternoon, Emily found something in Lila's old room, a scrapbook they had made in college. Tucked in the back was a photo of the three of them, Lila, Olivia, and Matt, laughing in a field during a summer festival. On the back, Lila had written, "These are my people. Nothing will ever tear us apart." Emily stared at the photo for a long time. Then she ripped it in half. The trial was still months away, but the emotional trial had already begun. Matt could barely sleep. Emily spent her nights writing letters to prosecutors, begging them to deny any plea deal. Olivia remained in county jail on suicide watch. And everywhere Lila's absence echoed. In every mirror, Matt saw a man he no longer recognized. In every silence, Emily heard the laughter that would never return. And in a jail cell, Olivia whispered apologies to no one, replaying a moment that had changed everything, and wondering if the hatred in her heart had ever truly been love. When the courtroom doors opened, it wasn't justice Olivia feared, it was the truth. And the truth had claws. The day the trial began, a cold rain poured over the courthouse steps, as if the sky itself were warning them of the storm ahead. Reporters lined the sidewalk with umbrellas and cameras, waiting for a glimpse of Olivia Harper, the woman once seen as a loyal best friend, now labeled a cold-blooded killer. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. The seats were filled with curious onlookers, journalists, and those who simply wanted to witness the collapse of a friendship gone horrifically wrong. Emily Ross sat in the front row, flanked by family, her eyes burning with rage and sorrow. Matt, though reluctantly present, sat behind the prosecution. He couldn't bring himself to look at Olivia, but he could feel her eyes searching for him. Olivia entered the courtroom in a muted gray suit, her wrists bound in cuffs, her hair pulled back tightly. She looked smaller somehow, as though grief and guilt had hollowed her out. But when the judge entered and the proceedings began, she straightened, as if wearing her shame like armor. The prosecution began by painting a picture of obsession. They introduced Olivia's journal, filled with disturbing entries detailing her envy of Lila. How Lila always had the spotlight, the love, the life she wanted. One entry read, "If I can't have him, no one should. She's not better than me. She's just luckier." That luck runs out on July 17th. The courtroom gasped. That was the night of the wedding. Matt felt his stomach twist. He had seen those words before. But hearing them aloud, in front of strangers, felt like reliving the nightmare. Emily cried silently, her fingers clenched tightly around a necklace Lila used to wear. The defense didn't deny the murder. Their strategy rested on emotional collapse. They called expert witnesses who testified about Olivia's fragile mental state, years of untreated anxiety, trauma from a past abusive relationship, and a history of codependency. Dr. Helen Krauss, a clinical psychologist, testified, Ms. Harper developed a deeply unhealthy attachment to both Ms. Ross and Mr. Carver. When they became engaged, it triggered a sense of abandonment that, in someone with her psychological profile, could manifest in extreme emotional responses, even violence. The jury listened, stone-faced. Some looked sympathetic, others horrified. When it came time for witnesses, Matt was called to the stand. The courtroom held its breath. He spoke quietly, deliberately. Olivia was a close friend. We were never romantically involved, at least not from my end. I always loved Lila. The defense attorney pounced. But didn't you once confide in Olivia during a rough patch? Didn't you say Lila didn't understand you? Matt hesitated. I did. But I didn't mean it the way Olivia took it. Did you ever lead her on? No, he said firmly. But the damage had been done. Doubt floated in the air. Emily testified next, her voice full of venom. She smiled in our faces. She helped plan the wedding. Then she killed her. That's not mental illness, that's evil. On the third day, Olivia took the stand. The courtroom turned silent. Everyone leaned forward. I never meant to hurt her, Olivia began, her voice barely above a whisper. I loved her. I loved Matt. I didn't know how to let go. That night, I lost control. Her lawyer asked, did you intend to kill her? She paused. No. But I didn't stop myself either. The room seemed to exhale all at once. When the prosecution cross-examined, they were ruthless. They reminded her of the entry in her journal, of the knife, of the opportunity to walk away. You say you lost control, the prosecutor said, but didn't you wait until the moment she was alone? Didn't you plan to confront her privately? Olivia broke down. I just wanted her to understand, to see what she did to me. What she did to you, the prosecutor repeated, her voice rising. She married the man she loved. That's her crime? Olivia sobbed into her hands. The courtroom was still. No one moved. The closing arguments were fire and ice. The prosecution described a betrayal steeped in envy, premeditated and unforgivable. The defense begged for mercy, framing Olivia as a woman shattered by years of rejection and mental decay. The jury deliberated for 2 full days. When they returned, the room tensed. The foreperson rose. We, the jury, find the defendant, Olivia Harper, guilty of second-degree murder. Emily let out a breath she'd been holding for weeks. Matt closed his eyes. Sentencing was scheduled for the following week. Olivia collapsed into her chair, the weight of justice finally pressing down on her. Outside the courthouse, Emily stood before the press. Lila was kind, radiant, and trusting to a fault. She didn't deserve this. No one does. But at least now there is some closure. Some peace. Matt didn't speak to reporters. He went home, sat in the silence, and finally cried. But inside his mind, one question still echoed. How do you grieve someone who died because they loved you? The courtroom held its breath as the jury filed in, 12 strangers now tasked with deciding if love had truly turned to madness. Olivia's fate hung in the balance, but so did the healing of everyone she'd broken. The trial began on a rain-soaked Monday in late March, nearly 7 months after the night that shattered their world. The courthouse in downtown Charlotte was swarmed by media vans, their satellite dishes piercing the gray sky like vultures waiting to feast. Headlines had dubbed it the Bridesmaid bloodbath. Every day, new tabloids and think pieces speculated on motives, obsessions, and the hidden darkness behind picture-perfect friendships. Inside, Matt sat beside Emily in the front row of the gallery, his face stoic but pale. Behind them, friends of Lila's filled the benches in silent solidarity. Olivia entered through the side door, shackled and gaunt, her once glossy chestnut hair dull and pulled back tight. Her eyes darted around nervously but never landed on Matt. The prosecution opened with a haunting phrase. This was not a crime of passion. This was a crime of obsession, of envy disguised as friendship. They presented Olivia's journal, its pages littered with disturbing entries. She gets everything, even him. I smile, but inside I scream. I've loved Matt since the day I met him. He doesn't see me, but she knows. If I can't have him, neither can she. The jury flinched when the medical examiner described the wound patterns, how Olivia had aimed not to maim, but to kill. The fatal stab had pierced Lila's heart. A single, deliberate strike. Emily testified midweek. Her voice trembled with fury. My sister trusted Olivia. She was her best friend. And that's what makes this worse. This wasn't a stranger. This was betrayal wrapped in affection. Matt was next. He looked straight ahead as he spoke, rarely glancing at Olivia. She had been acting strange in the weeks before the wedding. Distant, moody. But I never thought she was capable of something like this. Lila adored her. She wanted Olivia in our lives forever. When the defense began, the air shifted. Olivia's lawyers didn't deny she had killed Lila, but they framed it as a mental breakdown. A moment of psychosis triggered by long-standing depression and emotional trauma. They called on a psychiatrist who had evaluated Olivia and diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder. She didn't premeditate this, the doctor insisted. She was overwhelmed by emotional dysregulation, abandonment fears, and intense jealousy. It's tragic, but not malicious. Then Olivia took the stand. She wept through her testimony. I loved her. I loved them both, but I was lost. When I saw them together, married, laughing, I felt invisible. I just snapped. I don't remember grabbing the knife. I don't remember stabbing her. I only remember the blood, the screaming, and knowing I'd ruined everything. It was the first time she looked directly at Matt. Her lips quivered as she whispered, I'm sorry. He said nothing. The jury deliberated for 4 days. Outside, protesters clashed. Some demanded life in prison. Others believed Olivia needed treatment, not punishment. Hashtags like #Justice for Lila and #Olivia is sick trended side by side. America was split. On the 5th morning, the courtroom filled before sunrise. Matt clutched Lila's wedding ring in his palm. Emily stared straight ahead, unblinking. The foreperson stood. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder. Gasps erupted. Olivia sobbed silently as the judge sentenced her to 27 years in prison without parole. Outside, the storm had broken. Sunlight spilled over the courthouse steps. It wasn't closure, but it was something. In the months that followed, life staggered forward. Matt sold the house and moved to Asheville. He joined a support group for spouses of homicide victims. He wasn't ready to love again, but he was learning how to live without guilt. Emily created a scholarship fund in Lila's name for women studying psychology, a nod to her sister's dream of becoming a therapist. She visited Olivia in prison once, not out of forgiveness but to deliver a message. She was better than both of us, Emily had said. And now she's gone. I hope every day you wake up, you remember that. Olivia said nothing. Some nights, Matt still dreamed of Lila, laughing in the kitchen, barefoot in her wedding dress, dancing to no music. He would wake with tears in his eyes and whispers on his lips. Love had brought joy. Love had brought pain. But in the echoes of betrayal, he had finally learned, grief may never leave, but neither does love. Jealousy. Well, betrayal. 3 words that cost one woman her life and left another imprisoned by her own obsession. As the courtroom closed and the verdict echoed, one truth remained: some friendships are fatal. If this case gripped you, imagine what's coming next. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that chill to the bone and break the heart. Got a theory or thought on this case? Drop it in the comments. We read them all. Hit the bell icon so you're first to know when the next story drops. Because sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we should fear the most.